Hi, this is Mark from Cult Collectibles, and I'll be discussing the making of the Jaretta Demon Doll Weird Wobbler bobblehead figure. This is my second Weird Wobbler figure following the Black Devil doll. In the making of that figure, I discussed the quick origins of the company and essentially how I go about making these things. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the making of the Demon Doll. Doing a figure of Jaretta was already on my kind of wish list of figures that I wanted to do. And I was lucky enough to meet and get to know Jaretta back in April of 2010 at the Chiller Theater convention. Just within 2 weeks of starting Cult Collectibles, the Black Devil doll figure was already beginning the creative process. And when I discussed what I was doing with Jaretta, she immediately said, "Oh, I would love to do this." And over dinner, we had a verbal agreement set up in a matter of a couple minutes. So I quickly jumped on getting her a contract and starting to work on the design of this figure. And I wanted it to be something that was based around, the Rosemary character that she plays in Demons, and also giving tribute to the other films that she has done as well. Besides working on the film Demons, Jaretta was lucky enough to work with Lucio Fulci on Murder Rock, and also appeared in other great cult films like Rat's Night of Terror and Shocking Dark. So I gathered some photos of Jaretta, and primarily I wanted them to focus on this individual shot right here. And once I supplied my manufacturer with the photos and gave them the design instructions, they sent me back images of the first mold of the figure, and it pretty much took its form right from the beginning. There were a few areas that needed to be adjusted. Right away I wanted it to have more of a crouched look facing forward, so that was something that needed to be changed. Also, there's some small details like the pants needed to be smoother. Having the slight wrinkles gave the figure kind of a bulge in the crotch, which of course is not appropriate. Also, even from the earliest stages of creating one of these things, I have to keep in mind what the painting process is going to be and how the painting is going to affect the overall look of the finalized figure. The second series of images shows several changes. First, we've got a change to the teeth. These needed to have some type of a gory effect, so I had to play around with how that's going to come out painted, because these are actually painted, think like paint by numbers. Everything has a border that it's painted to, and nothing is free-handed. So had them make some changes to the teeth. Didn't like it at all. Went with a different look for the gore in the mouth, and I didn't like that at all. Also, at this point, I'm adding veins to the face. She's facing forward more. The pants are smoother, although there's still an issue in the crotch area, and also have brought the shirt sleeves up past the elbow, and brought the jacket down further. And Jaretta had commented she wanted a little bit of a bubble butt, so we kind of added a little bit of a butt to it. And the eyes are facing a little bit upwards, and it looks a little bit funky because it's not really facing forward. And there's one change that's really subtle is her nose. We made changes to make it look a bit more like Jaretta's actual nose. The third set of images now shows that the crotch area has been smoothed out, and the addition of a belt is included. The teeth haven't been changed, the gore hasn't been changed, the eyeballs are changed slightly, but they're still not facing the proper direction. I still wanted them to face forward. The fourth set of images here, we've got the teeth back to the way they were at the beginning, the gore back close to the way it was at the beginning, and they still can't get the eyes correct for me. And I'm very meticulous when I do these things. I want them to be as much as they can the way that I want them to be, if it's at all possible. So I kept pushing back that the eyes were not correct. I'm even very meticulous about the text on the base. I want these to be as detailed and as lifelike as I can possibly make them. So in the fifth set of photos, for some reason the manufacturing plant decided to go ahead and paint the figure, although I hadn't yet given them instructions to do so, but they were on the right track, so I didn't really mind. They finally got the eyes correct with the mold, So essentially right here we're looking at the finalized figure of Jaretta. Just there were painting issues that needed to be corrected. The next painting shows it getting really close to being finalized. I was a bit concerned with the color of the gore, and there's a puddle added to the base there. It just seemed too neon. The shoe color wasn't correct. They've got the eyes correct. The hair shade is good. The really dark black, the shade of the skin, the veins, everything's looking pretty good here. I was a bit concerned with the color of the gums. And the interesting thing here is that the gore on the teeth is essentially free-handed. It's the only thing on the figure that isn't dictated by a outline or border that everything else is painted by. So every figure has its own variations of gory teeth. An awesome addition to the figure came basically at the last minute. Jaretta was in touch with Sergio Stivoletti, who she worked with on Demons, and was the creator of the demon mask and a lot of the special effects for the film. And she was able to get him to agree to allow us to use the classic mask from the film Demons as part of this project. So here we're seeing the first images of the mask included as part of the figure. It was too big, so I had them redo it and make it a bit smaller. Also, the painting is getting really close. They've added a red scratch to the side of her cheek, and my only concern with the painting at this point was the color of her gums just wasn't the correct color. So I struggled with that a couple times and had them go back and forth with different colors until I was satisfied. So finally I was able to get a color for the gums that I liked, and also the mask was made a bit smaller, and the addition of a small tab in its chin that rests inside the base was added so that the mask has somewhere to be stored, so it's not just a free floating accessory to the piece. It can be displayed along with it. Initially the idea was that the mask would connect to the head. Unfortunately, with this type of material, it wasn't possible. Either the mask is too heavy and falls off, or it's too thin and it's going to break. There were a couple attempts made to see if there was a way to do this, but none of them worked out. It's still an amazing addition to have this mask included with the figure, and I'm very happy with the way that it connects to the base. And overall, the way it sits with the figure is a really, really cool looking piece. Another limitation with the format was that Jaretta kept asking to have her hair cascade down the front, and that wasn't possible either for a couple reasons. One being that it gets in the way of the movement of the head, and also having something like that will create a very large possibility for those pieces breaking off, not only in just the use of the figure, but also in the shipping as well. So now that the prototype is finalized, the manufacturing process starts. At this point, I begin the pre-order process on the website, making the trading card, getting all the press releases out there, all the graphics done. And again, Steven Romano did an amazing job on the box art for this. The box art for Black Devil Doll was awesome, and the box art he delivered for the Demon Doll is another incredible job. At this point, I want to thank the several people who were involved with me in this project, namely Jaretta for allowing me to do the figure, and also Sergio Stivoletti for allowing us to include the demon mask with it. Also want to thank my girlfriend Miranda for her insights and pointers during the creation of this, my project manager at the manufacturer, and my manufacturing plant for putting up with all my demands. And to everyone who has supported Cult Collectibles so far, I really appreciate it. I hope that you enjoy the Demon Doll. And coming up next is Lucio Fulci's The Beyond, and I guarantee that this will be an absolutely amazing piece. So thank you. Please visit cultcollectibles.com.